Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. This is Ascending with Assata. I am Assata Michelle. Today's episode is entitled, What You Gonna Do To? What You Gonna Do To? Last week's episode was What You Gonna Do, I guess, one, so this is going to be a continuation of that. And what I want to continue to talk about is, in light of all that is happening, the peaceful protest, the some not so peaceful examples of things that are happening. But let me fact check while I'm talking about that. A lot of folk I hear are saying that Black people have initiated a lot of this looting and rioting. And so to be factually accurate, that is incorrect. There are white persons that have been bringing in pallets of bricks, pallets of cinder blocks, and sledgehammers. And so if you want to tell a narrative, you have to ensure that you're telling the narrative from a place that is a place of not facts, but truth, so that we can speak to the truth about what is happening. And so what you want to do too is, after we have finished protesting, after the momentum has begun to quell, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? I submit to you that we cannot allow the momentum to quell. We cannot allow our rage to move us in a moment, temporarily, but not to move in things that are going to last long term, that are going to have effect on things long term, on policies, on systems. What are you going to do? In New Jersey, we have some very important dates coming up regarding voting, the primary election, general election, getting your absentee ballot. Are you even registered to vote? And so once all of this has died down, and I really hope that it doesn't. My personal opinion is that I hope people continue to protest. I hope that we have finally come to the point where we are tired. And I dare say that Brother George Floyd was simply the straw that broke the camel's back. If I start to begin to name names, it would take up the entire episode. He simply is the straw. And so as we think about what we can do, what one can do to move past the protest, or move within, not past, move within what is happening, one of the ways to do that is to actually organize. It is not enough to just like and share a post on Facebook. It is not just enough to rant and rave about the terrible injustices and structural racism that our country was innately founded on. Those are all facts. Those are all true statements. But what are you going to do? What are we going to do? And so, just by way of some simple questions, my first question would be, do you know who the mayor of your town is? Do you know who sits on your city council? Do you know the police chief? Do you know any police officer in your town? And I know for Black and brown people, we ain't trying to know, you over there, I'm over here. But we have to begin to know who is policing us. The police have to be policed. And so if we don't know these simple preliminary civics, we can't engage on a larger civic arena, because we need to know the basic foundation of our own civics lessons. Do you know what it takes to get on your school board, your local school board? Do you know the process? How about the process of becoming a committee person in your town? What does your mayor stand for? What has been accomplished in your town? What are the policies concerning policing in your town? Do you know? And so we have to be accountable for ourselves and take ourselves out of this cloud of, I don't know, I'm just, here trying to make it every day. Nope, we have to begin to do some active steps Because the only way that our voices are heard in a way that makes changes is the one in which policies are changed. The ones in which we are making intentional decisions about who we're voting for, not just going down a certain party and clicking check, 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 which I am absolutely guilty of. Not knowing this is the party that I am, so these all people must be good. No, we need to do some fact checking. And so the Martin Luther King Jr. said, and I posted this, that a riot is the language of the oppressed. And that's exactly what we are witnessing now, is the language of the oppressed. And so once this momentum, I don't want to lose the momentum of what is happening. If you think about the Montgomery boycott back in 1955, I believe it was, when one woman, and let me give you another fact about that. Rosa Parks wasn't the first person to not move out of her seat. There were other women before her, but Rosa Parks fit the profile. So let's be clear about that. You can fact check me on that. But we're going to use Rosa Parks because she's the one who history remembers and who history wants to use because that makes them feel good. So we're going to use Rosa Parks, and thank God that she did what she did. For 1 year, people did not use the system, the bus system at all. They successfully, a year. So you can see that year shows the momentum of that. Even though I'm being inconvenienced, even though we have to walk to work or find other means, we will continue the pressure until the desired result has been achieved. And that is exactly what happened. And so I purport to you that this is what we must do. We must organize. We must come together either within smaller groups, subsections of a larger subset of something that you believe in, of a group that you believe is making a difference and actually doing the work necessary. It's not easy work. Work that involves race and reconciliation is difficult, taxing work, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. And so you have to make sure that you are prepared to be able to go into that kind of grunt work to get the job done. But that is the only way that policies and systems are changed. So I'll leave you with a few questions today. Are you registered to vote? Did you complete your census? Now, I'm kind of smiling here because anybody that knows me even a little bit knows that I have a hefty distrust for the system. So when they start sending me out forms to fill out and who lives at your house, I'm like, none of your business. You already know who lives. So I'm coming from a place of I get it. But I also understand that in order to get the proper funding into our communities, we have to fill out the census. And I'm sure they're using it for other reasons as well. But we have to look at it in order to get the proper funding into our school systems, into our healthcare systems, which, as you already know, are disenfranchised for Black and brown persons. We have to do these things as fill out the census. So they can use the information otherwise as they want to, but we need to get the federal funding into our communities. So have you filled out your census? Because you don't want anybody to come to your door. You should just fill it out. You can even go online and do it as well. Are you registered to vote? Check the deadlines for your state, for your city, for your town to see what elections are upcoming. Is your mayor elected or appointed? Do you know that? And so let us not do our protesting. Let us not do our liking and sharing posts in vain. Let us also be doing the work necessary in dismantling, eradicating these structures of racism that our country has been founded on. On this Saturday, I will be hosting, along with some other folk, I will be hosting a social action Zoom call in which we will be talking about the blackout on July 7th, as well as some other upcoming projects that we are talking about doing, because it's time to stop moving from talking to doing, from being use these things distracting us to doing. And so I submit to you today, What are you going to do now? Or what you doing too? I am Assata Michelle. This is Ascending with Assata. Thank you so much for listening to me today. Please like, subscribe, and share. You can always check me out on asatamichelle.com. In fact, that is where you can find the Zoom information for Saturday's meeting. Please take care of yourselves. Self-care. Be well. Thank you so much. Peace.